Welcome, everyone, back to Aeos Clubhouse, number 17. It is November 10th. Things are upon us, such as a new season, a new battle pass, and the end of pumpkins is in sight and not quite gone away yet, but you can't get more of them. All the same, I'm Kyle Ferguson. I am joined by my illustrious co-hosts, starting with Kai Berries.
Hello.
And Mockery is here as well.
Hello. Yeah, good to be here. It's a good day today.
Awesome. How is everyone doing in the stadium?
In the stadium, is that
you go.
in reference to the game?
Yeah. I mean,
it's the Aeos Stadium.
Yeah, in the magical place that is Pokemon Unite.
Okay. So there's a lot of upheaval and change in the world of Unite right now.
Oh.
We just got that patch. We got a balance patch, a rank reset, a new character announced, teased, and leaked all in the span of like 2 days. And there's like a whole lot of cool stuff to talk about there, but all of that is small potatoes to me. Okay, none of that really matters because there's one thing about all of this that dominates my attention, and that squirrel finally got nerfed, bro.
Hey!
Oh, when you said upheaval, I expected something bad, but this all sounds good.
No, upheaval. I don't think upheaval implies anything bad. It's a sudden change.
Okay.
And so all this and that changed, but like I said, greetings. Thank the heavens, finally knocked down a few pegs. The game needed it. I needed it for my emotional state. I was tired. I know I talked about him at the start. He was cool, watching him skirt around and drift all over the place. But it was way too much. He was unstoppable. He was one of the fastest characters in the game, while also being super tanky and while also shredding people. So I'm happy. Everything else, we're gonna get into it over the course of the show, I know, but that is the change of the past week to me. So we're in a good state right now.
Well, excellent.
What about you guys? How you doing, Kai?
I'm vibing. I haven't played since the season flipped over. Like tonight, I'm gonna be playing. I would have played last night, but a new game came out that I was playing instead. So I feel like I'm a little behind everybody. I haven't got to experience the squirrel nerfs, but I am very excited for them because I was getting tilted, getting skirted on.
You can't just mention the new game without telling us. Come on now.
Because we're always on topic in this podcast, right? Jurassic World Evolution 2, a dinosaur park building game came out. So
yeah,
you know I'm a dinosaur.
Dinos.
Right. I'm a dinosaur enthusiast, so I had to dip into that for a little bit.
How is it?
This is really good. If you like park builders, this is the second one. If you liked the first one, it's the first one only better.
Awesome. I love Planet Coaster. It is.
Yeah, same studio. Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo. Yeah, so dinosaurs is fun. But
these sort of beats are important.
I'm scheduled to play Unite tonight, and I'm ready to see Greedent be nerfed since I keep getting railroaded into being a tank, and it's really tilting trying to tank him.
Oh yeah, that's right, because he was dictating your entire tank meta and cutting out some of your favorites.
I'm not playing Mamoswine because how do you Mamoswine into Greedent? But maybe it'll be better now. We'll have to see.
Yeah, hopefully now his win rate will be the thing that tanks.
Oh my gosh.
We'll get into the numbers of it in a little bit. As for me, I completed my pumpkin challenge. I did it in a big old 2-hour-long stream. Thank you to everybody who joined for that from Aeos Clubhouse, from Twitch. Just awesome to get to play with everybody. I learned a lot of cool things. Got to see a lot of our Masters players at work there, such as hiding in bushes during the Zapdos, which, on this shorter map and all that, there's still a Zapdos. Hiding in the bush, then going and turning in, and then recalling back, and then fighting at Zapdos. So you basically get a double whammy turn in right before the Zapdos as they all run to that instead and aren't watching their primary goal. I'd never experienced that before.
Good strat.
I also learned that Blissey was completely OP in this mode because she gave people unstoppable, which means you couldn't be pumpkined. And when you got pumpkined, you dropped your Aeos energy. And so Blissey's were in hot demand for this event.
She was good for that. I tried to use Blissey to love it, but even with Blissey, I couldn't.
Your Blissey dislike is well documented.
That's true. Yeah, Blissey. But I mean, it's just the pumpkins. My pumpkin dislike is also well documented, I feel.
You were gonna say Mockery?
It was interesting, the mode, but I don't know whose idea it was to make a mode where everybody is not permanently, but with extremely high uptime polymorphing each other and dropping our points. Whoever came up with that mode, I just want to talk. What's going through your mind? I am a little glad that it's gone, to be honest.
Yeah, we've certainly seen this issue come up in a lot of Blizzard games, actually. World of Warcraft being one with the vehicles. Here's the Storm with the Dragon Knight. Like, there is something about going into a competitive game where you pick your player, and then that game being like, by the way, you're not playing as that. You're going to play as a pumpkin instead. You go, well, hang on now. I did not agree to this. A game that gets away with it is like the Battlefields or Battlefronts. But I guess first-person shooters, maybe it's not as jarring, or vehicles are just more fun in first person.
I don't know, man. I just know that I didn't sign up to play Pumpkin Unite. All right.
Oh, why not?
It was an interesting experience, and I'm glad that they're willing to experiment. I'm hoping that some of the negative reception to that event is taken into account, and that we don't just see it run back the same way in a year from now. But who knows what'll happen? They've been really good about churning out content so far. The volume has been wonderful for Unite in terms of content, and now that just sort of has me thinking about their ability to refine it long term and adjust it to sort of how the players are doing and feeling. So that's the next big wait and see for me as we progress through this.
There is a world where they could put like a Christmas orb, a decoration, and then they
turn you into a Christmas tree or like a bouncing present.
Yeah. Oh, bouncing present.
Same mechanics.
Yep.
Literally 1-to-1, same mechanics, same map, just differently skinned everything. Where you turn people into ornaments. I love it. Please. I wouldn't love it from a gameplay level, but just for the pure gall of doing it, I think
I can feel that.
Hilarious.
Just for the chaos and pain it would cause. You're like, I'm into that.
Every holiday event, it's just the pumpkin event that we just had just reskinned with something thematic and festive for that time of year.
Well,
it's absolutely wonderful.
It was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate the Aeos community joining up with me for that. And we got it done in 12 games, 10 being the required number of wins. So we won a lot, and we got through those games pretty swiftly, and I got my free greeted right before he got nerfed. And in fact, the chat has just updated us that the Halloween event store stuff is gone as of right now. So they actually gave you a day or two to sort of finish your purchases up, which is a little unknown to me coming from other games. It's usually right now or not, and you're out of luck.
I mean, I got everything I was hoping for. I didn't do like you, though. I didn't do the free greeting. I just bought him, but I got everything else, so it can go. It can leave. You're dismissed.
It might be the casualness of a squirrel, the normal Pokemon. I was determined to not pay money for Greedon. I think he's an amazing design, but he just ain't flashy, I didn't want to slam my bucks on the table for a squirrel.
Squirrel or not, just like I was talking about, the pace at which they throw these characters at us is super high. And if you can only get 2,100 gold a week from your total amount of games, and that's if you're playing a lot, and plus a few other very minor sources of gold, the pace at which these new characters comes in rapidly outpaces your intake of gold to match up with that. So anything I can do to sort of offset that, I don't care if it's a squirrel, Torterra, Tyranitar, anything, if I can get it without paying gold or real money, just with a little in-game gameplay, then that's what I'm going to do. So I did it. I was actually able to pick up every single pumpkin item which was super convenient because the witch hat was able to be bought with blue tickets. And then if you take out the witch hat out of the equation, this is advice that's only useful for literally like the next like 4 hours until the reset happens from this. But if you were to buy the witch hat with blue tickets, then the rest of the items could be bought with pumpkins, and that got you everything. You
That's
didn't
how I
miss
did
out
it
on
too.
any of the items. Yeah, so like I said, it doesn't matter what Pokemon that was. With just the rapid pace that they come out, I just needed to pick that up because otherwise I'd just be in the dust with how fast they drop these characters and how little gold we get every week.
It's very true. And it seems that that won't be changing, but things are going to remain the same if you enjoyed the same when it came to tickets and stuff. And this is talking about the new Battle Pass and the ranked season, which is now out. I didn't see any like official math on where people ended up. I know veteran or masters players became veterans, and veteran is a crazy, crazy place right now because of it. Experts like me lost 3 pips and went to expert no pips. So clearly there was perhaps a cutoff point at the halfway where people did not go down further than they previously had, which is, I mean, that's great. That's fine by me.
Okay. Yeah, so from what I can tell, it seems like if you were just in Master at all, you got put back in Veteran 3. And Master was a very wide skill range. That was, you know, the difference between people that just barely had gotten Master and the difference between people who had played dozens and hundreds of games. They all get lumped into the same place. It feels a little, I don't want to say sloppy, but that's kind of the impression I get. Overall, like, people will get back to their ranks pretty soon. I've been playing for a little bit since the release, and I'm up to Ultra 1 again. You know, slowly making my way back up. I haven't grinded it out super hard or anything, but I'll get back there soon. But you're absolutely right about it being a clown fiesta right now at those ranks. You know, you see wild stuff at these ranks nearly every game. It's been fun.
That would be interesting if they had done some sort of detective system that matched how many games of Masters you had played after placing and use that to sort of divide people up.
Yeah, like I was thinking number of games, but also rank, right? Because like you could play like 100 games and go 50-50 and end up right back where you started, just about, more or less, because the points don't always line up 100% evenly between wins and losses. But yeah, like it would have been interesting to see them take a slightly more granular approach, but honestly, it's not a big deal. Once people play their ranked more, they'll get to the ranks that they belong, and it'll sort of filter itself out for now. But the start and end of a season in basically any MOBA, anything with really a ranked ladder, the start and end of the season are always just pure chaos anyway, as everything just gets jumbled about, and as we go throughout the season, we'll all get back to where we belong.
Kai, I know you got to Masters and found it to be insane. What do you think about going back to Veteran and doing that climb?
I'm excited for it. I don't know. Sometimes, like Makri was saying, the skill in Masters and just the quality of gameplay can vary a lot, because once you get into Masters, you can't fall out of it. So I did find a lot of people not necessarily trolling, but potentially trolling, because there was no worry or consequence or concern if you lost a game, or you're just like, well, I'll play this Pokemon I just bought that I haven't practiced at all, because what's the worst that can happen? I lose. Who cares? So I'm kind of excited to climb again, where there's more of a feel of where people are trying to climb, where people have that sense of not consequences, but consequences, where people maybe are more motivated to try harder and win because the goal is a little more tangible, maybe.
I always think it's fascinating to consider what sort of game knowledge people are gaining on the side. We often hear nobody reads the patch notes, even though there might be launchers and pop-ups and everything like that. Across all MOBAs, there's this accusation that people do not read. And I think in many ways it's very true. How do you decide who is, as Makri put it, a 50-50 Masters who is trying but not improving? Who is the Masters who got there and then put the game down? And if you counted games there, maybe that's now effective. But then again, what's a Smurf on top of that? And someone who got to Master said, excellent, to my next account. And they're actually very skilled. Machine learning, AI, I don't know, something needs to be done.
Yeah,
Well, that one's
definitely.
easy to identify. Is their name Shoddy something Hottie? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Hottie. Yeah.
Then you know they're a Smurf and they're very skilled. That's the dead giveaway there.
Yeah, we had Shot on our show, our only guest so far, and he was Shoddy 2 Hottie was his main account, then 3 Hottie, 4 Hottie, 5 Hottie, 6 Hottie. He was going through them super quick, and I think he eventually calmed down, but for sure. And I will say, just talking about the challenges with figuring out where to place players and all of that, I do not envy the job of the game devs that have to figure all that stuff out. Okay, that is a significant programming challenge that will leave a lot of people unhappy, basically no matter what you do. You could make the best rank system ever, and you'll still have a lot of people absolutely railing against it for this or that reason about why it doesn't work. Some of them a little self-motivated by them not feeling they got the rank they deserve or anything. You know, it's a very difficult job that at times can be very thankless. So like I said, you know, as someone, I've got a comp sci degree. I've done a bit of coding in my life. I want zero to do with anything like that. That sounds like a lot. So, you know, credit to the devs for what they have done so far.
By the way, if you are logging in the game today for the first time to get your ranked rewards, you need not worry at all about this. But if you logged in early, and perhaps excitedly, to get those ranked rewards, there was a bug. And a bug that gave you ranked rewards based on your current rank at the end of season, rather than the greatest of the ranks, the highest rank that you had across the whole season. And they said that those will be compensated at a later date, likely through that mail system.
I'm like, I wonder, I haven't logged in yet, so I wonder if I'll get the right ones.
So you'll be good. You should be all good. The bug is fixed for when you log
Okay.
in.
All right. So I'm ready to go.
So to be clear, for anybody that ended last season in Master, this bug does not affect you at all.
Oh, that's true.
This is only if you had climbed to a certain rank and then fell from that rank during the season. Thus, your end of season rank was lower than your peak season rank. And that doesn't mean necessarily like if you ended the season Ultra 1 and you were Ultra 5, so you were a lower rank within the same season, then again, still no effect. Only if you fell an entire league from whatever you had been before and you couldn't fall out of Master. Once you had it, you just had it. So only if you fell into a group that got a rank that was Ultra or lower and then fell from that rank and ended the season at a lower rank, does this bug affect you. And only if you redeemed your rewards within the first few days after the new season hit. So, it's very unfortunate for the people that this did impact, but I do ultimately think it's going to be an extremely small amount of the population. And it's a good thing that they're going to fix it anyway. It's very murky with the details as to when that'll happen. They just told us that it will happen. But it looks like it's going to get fixed, so we're okay.
That's a good point. Probably the people it happened to are the ones who would notice it the most, who probably playing the last night of the season, got to Ultra, maybe said one more game, then fell back down. They're like, you know what? At least I touched it. I got the tickets. I'm done. And then they log in the next day and are very aware of what those exact ticket numbers are.
No, how sad.
But otherwise, I mean, the game with the whole secret bot thing, it'd be kind of hard to lose the rank you get.
There are certainly some protections to help you out with your rank between the apparent bot games and between all the performance points that you get. The game does have a slight bias to push you upward in comparison to other MOBAs that I've played, for sure.
There's also the whole new reward season, which I mentioned is the exact same in terms of tickets, but instead of some belty hot topic awesomeness, throwing out my opinion, I love belts. It's more of a space tracksuit. Not really sure how to describe it. It's definitely Aeos Stadium themed, and very future high school tech.
I
We're
like
talking
future high school tech. That's a good descriptor.
Right. Like you're watching a sports anime, but it's kind of like in the future or something, and there's like holograms, and it's almost like all the original characters in your anime are all lined up, and they've all got crazy hairdos and different outfits, and this is like the team on the enemy side that is extremely generic and almost evil in some ways in its cleanliness.
in the uniformity of it all.
Yeah, like Dr. Evil kind of minions, or any sort of James Bond kind of outfit. But there's also the Battle Pass, which is the Battle Pass Sunshine, which seems
A weird name. I just gotta throw it out there. That's a weird name, and I don't like it.
I mean, so the world, the planet, has two hemispheres. It's not fair for us to say there's no sunshine at the moment for half the planet. But it does seem really weird that we're celebrating sunshine at the moment.
I just think it's like if we're doing like a summer sun theme, that's fine because like you said, it's summer somewhere. I just think the name sunshine is just, it doesn't sound good. It's bad. I don't like it.
Yeah, there's not really a particular flow to it. Just talking about really quick about that new battle pass, that does remind me what someone actually pointed out in our Discord before the show today, is that Japan does not observe daylight savings time. So if
lucky.
Go on, but I'm curious.
This appears hilarious to you, Kyle. Okay.
just because, like, they're flaunting it. They're like, sunshine. Everyone else, set your clocks because we ain't changing our sun.
It gets dark at 5 p.m. for you guys. But so Japan does not observe daylight saving time, and we here in the U.S., many of us, except those I believe in like Arizona, within the contiguous United States, set our clocks back an hour. And for that means that shifts the time of our daily reset every day.
Oh.
Or when, yeah, relative to your time, because Japan, it's based on Japan's time. When the daily reset of your ranked rewards and your battle pass, or your battle pass dailies and your event dailies, those shift every day. Now to be 1 hour off, I'm not sure if that means it's an hour earlier or later, But either way, it should be 1 hour different in one direction. And once I find that out, I will say that. But that is very, very important because I know I have had several days since this game came out where I was literally like, 30 minutes left until the reset and I'm frantically finishing all my dailies. So it's very important to be informed about when that happens here. And that is a bit of a change for us. So that's a good thing to be aware of.
This almost
I hate daylight saving stuff so much.
Yeah. The only reason.
Just remember, what's up?
Oh, the only reason it was at all cool was because it happened on BlizzCon weekend, and it meant we got an extra hour.
Yeah, for me, all daylight saving has ever meant was that I couldn't go to the basketball court as late. For a while, it was like, oh, cool. It's light when I drive to work, because it's earlier now. I actually get a little bit of time in the daylight. I don't have to drive to work in the dark. And then that lasted all of like 2 weeks before it was just dark again. So it feels a bit unnecessary in the modern age, to be honest with you.
When I worked in Chicago, it was bleak. Oh my goodness, you come out of work at like 6 p.m. It's like midnight out there. You're stumbling through the dark on the streets.
Me living in Chicago. Yes.
Yeah. Well, as the only person that hasn't worked in Chicago, I feel rather out of it on this one. But it's just there's a deep psychological effect, I feel, to going to work in the morning in the dark and coming home from work in the afternoon in the dark. And you just feel like some sort of cave person at that point that only ventures out at night. Which I'm not sure the cave people ever did. That seems counterintuitive, but you get the idea.
It is. Yeah, maybe it's a vie for positivity then. Though the kind of the vibe I'm getting from the skins is not necessarily. Well, let me see the trainer skins here. No, that's a Hawaiian shirt. That's like an explorer outfit, a Hawaiian shirt, perhaps wrestling outfit. But one thing that really I found interesting, and I don't know if this happened in the previous battle passes, I'm not remembering, is that you immediately get a Charizard skin. Was there an immediate unlock of
Yes.
that value
Yeah, it was
previously?
the Venusaur
Yes.
skin, right?
Every battle pass so far has had a skin right away. I don't know if there was a Venusaur skin, because I know you got a Venusaur skin just for like leveling up your account. I want to say you get the swimwear Venusaur.
Oh, I thought the swimwear was the just buying the battle pass. I thought that's where that one came from, but
Yeah, I made a
Small
second
brain.
account a while back, and I'm pretty sure I got it that way. I'm like 90% sure. And I know the very first battle pass that we had while we were all entirely on Switch was Hip Hop Pikachu, was what you got just for buying that very first initial battle pass. So it has seemed to be the norm that in a battle pass you have, just for buying it right away, you get a free cosmetic. Free, I say, for buying it. I always hate when people say that. Oh, if you buy this thing, you get this thing free. It's like, well, you're just buying both of them. But regardless, you always got a skin right at the start of the battle pass, and then one right at the very end of the battle pass. I'm pretty sure that stayed consistent throughout this, and seems to be the pattern moving forward here. I will say one thing that I find. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it. It does seem a little bit disappointing, is that the battle passes are shorter. The first battle pass that we got went for something like 80 days, and the next battle passes that we've got have gone for something like 60 days. We're having to pay slightly more often for these battle passes, which are extremely cheap and give you a lot for them. I will say, I think it's totally worth it. But that Nintendo Switch era before we had the mobile release had, in my opinion, the best battle pass that we've had so far. The skins are still really good, but they do feel like the battle passes, like, why tease us with a really long one and then just from then on out and be like, nope, they're going to be short from now on.
They want to pump that content. Boom, boom, boom. More pass, more content, more skins. Go, 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 go.
I guess so.
You also mentioned previously that the boxes at the end were of the highest caliber.
Oh yeah, and that, I think, is actually a pretty elegant system to try and get people to play more. Is the fact that, and I think it's honestly something that they could hype up more. The end of Battle Pass boxes are just so amazing. You get tickets that can be exchanged for the paid skins in the game. So even though, like, I told myself, I'm not spending any money on skins or whatever, and I've stayed true to that. I have only spent money on the 3 battle passes so far, which was not a lot. I dropped $20 the day the game came out, and that has covered the 3 battle passes that I've had so far. I once accidentally bought a couple item enhancers with tickets, because if you tried to buy more than your tickets, would afford, then it would use gems. It'd be like, hey, do you want to use gems to supplement the rest of this purchase? And I accidentally agreed to that when I did not intend to. If I had not done that, I was looking at my gem count. If I had not accidentally bought those item enhancers, then that initial $20 that I dropped on the first day would have covered the next battle pass as well. So that would have been the first 4 battle passes right there. And honestly, that's not bad at all. But yeah, there is a bit of an element of it just not being as long, but I do like the pace at which they're coming out. And overall, I do think that they're good. And I do think the fact that you are sort of softly encouraged to play every day, but you don't have like this massive FOMO, right? Like, even though it's super, super nice to play every day and get all those loot boxes at the very end of the battle pass where you can get currency for the paid skins, it's not the worst thing in the world if you miss out on those. And that, to me, is one of the best ways that you can do something, is if you can have an encouragement for players to come online without banking too hard on the fear of missing out. And, oh, if I don't do this, then that's bad. In general, I think that Unite does have a lot of abuse of FOMO, because that's just an effective way to get people to keep coming back, is, oh, you might miss out if you don't. But I do think that that's one area where it's actually designed in a good way and not too bad about it. So yeah, I do like what they do with the boxes at the end of a battle pass.
I also like that the trainer skins for this battle pass are a bit more defined in their look and their style, but it still comes in pieces, and that's something I loved about Dota skins. back when I played that game heavily is, yeah, you had a full-blown spiky armor set, but you could mix and match, and it always kind of felt like, I mean, yeah, it'll look like a child's toy when it's all over. You might look like a Burning Crusade character, but you could still make something interesting and unique out of those individual pieces.
Yeah, you got to be able to mix and match. It's fashion, baby. Like, just because they made you this set doesn't mean I don't want to wear those pants with that boot with that top. Like,
it's very important.
Fashion of the storm is important. Yeah, I need that.
Let's get into the balance patch. But first, we want to thank all our patrons over at patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse. And we want to thank first and foremost our legendary producer, Serenity. Thank you for your ongoing, unparalleled support of this show. But we also want to thank Feel For Real this week, who signed up and supported the show. Everyone supporting over at patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse. We thank you.
Thank you, patrons.
Appreciate all of you.
Absolutely. But now for the balance, for numbers, and for the greedent destruction party. Possibly? We'll see. It's not entirely brutal, but it is a nerf of sizable amount. Let's start with Cheek Pouch, which I just love saying all of his abilities. Reduced healing effects. The amount of healing regained per berry has been reduced. By the way, these notes are a combination of the Japanese notes and data mined notes on top of the English notes that you might be familiar with that are a bit more general.
Got to pull our information from a variety of sources.
Yeah, we've got our own helpful Mr. Chia in our community that translates some of the notes for us. And we've got the community themselves, all of the fan communities that are finding out everything all the time, because information about these patch notes is always a little sparse. I think they've been getting better about it. You know, I've read some of these notes, though, I will say, and we've gone from move changed to like, oh, cooldown reduced and effect buffed, which was always kind of a thing sometimes, but I feel that they're becoming a little bit more consistent about their English communication of changes, and that's a very good thing.
Agreed.
It's still a work in progress for sure.
We also got Covet, a fixed bug where belch could be used repeatedly under set conditions. Now, of course, as the bug is now gone, you can't do this anymore, nor did I think I didn't witness this, but I'm not sure.
It was a slaughter, dude. Greedent doesn't pull up on you.
I witnessed this. It's no fun.
Yeah, Greedent would pull up on you and cast belch literally like 5 times in a row. And that was enough to slaughter your whole team. Like, you would regularly see Greedent players at Master literally 1v4ing.
Yeah, I thought I didn't know it was a bug because I saw it enough that I thought this was just normal play. And then somebody in my chat ended up telling me that they're not supposed to be doing that. And I was like, you son of a...
Oh.
That's been a pattern, though, with Unite so far. I think this is maybe the 3rd time that they've been like, oh, by the way, this gameplay mechanic is actually a bug. Because we had the same thing with Sleep. When the game first came out, Sleep was a stun. If you put an opponent to sleep, you could just, they were stunned, you could damage them as much as you want, and they wouldn't get back up. And then all of a sudden the devs were like, oh, we fixed a bug where players were able to, or where players weren't getting woken up when they took damage while sleeping. So I am almost a little skeptical of their claims that some of these things are bugs, because like I said, they're so widespread, they're so just integral to how these characters play that to say that these were bugs in something that seems completely intentional, I'm skeptical. But regardless, wow. I'm happy it got fixed.
You are accusing the Pokemon Unite devs of changing the date on their homework.
I mean, I guess, you know.
I forgot it at home. It was a bug, and they write bug in the top corner on their paper, and maybe even wrinkle it up a bit. Like, oh, the full backpack search performance.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry, Professor. I turned into you my first draft on accident. Here's my real completed paper.
Oh my god, I was so good at that stuff. Oh.
Oh
No.
It takes me back. But that is a fascinating idea because Covet was the one where you ran around displacing enemies, eating berries, and going faster because of it. And I definitely experienced in my short time on my free Greedent, free, asterisk.
So proud.
Yes, I worked for it. This belch phenomenon, and I thought I was being good at the game. So while I make fun, I do believe you that perhaps this was intended in some way, left in, perhaps not even maliciously, but because they thought everything was good to go, and someone in the office was like, whoa, is that still in there? And like, oh, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Let's see what the balance is first.
Yeah, or when they did internal testing, it seemed fine. And then out in the wild, they were like, oh, no mistakes have been made.
So this was at the same time then they're gonna fix the belch. So let's actually jump to that real quick. Minimum cooldown introduced, which would help avoid that bug in the first place. Which kind of adds to the story, might not be a bug. But the damage was reduced from 2,225 to 1916, which would be a 13% decrease. So not crazy, but it is a bug fix at the same time as a damage nerf, and those can get out of hand in conjunction.
The damage nerf isn't huge, but the bug fix where you can't use it 5 times in a row is what's really gonna, I think, change the character a lot, because that was the kind of Greedent play you saw. He like slid up on you and just burp, and you just die. Like, you can't get away from him. He's faster than you. He's unstoppable, and it's just one after the other. So I think removing that is going to be more impactful even than reducing the damage of it.
I will say though, after having played, the damage nerf does seem to be significant as well. Like Greedent seems far less effective. Yeah, and I'm kind of happy for it. I don't necessarily want Greedent to just be a distant memory going from overpowered to completely out of it, but it would feel a little cathartic if that were to happen. I am hoping that Greedent gets to a healthy place, but currently with how his abilities are designed, especially Covet, when you have such a ridiculously high uptime, unstoppable, and movement speed increase, I'm kind of okay if that just stays in the dumpster for a while, to be honest.
Sure.
But we'll see what happens.
There was also a stuffed cheeks shield reduction, I should say. Bullet Seed. So the competitor with Belch was buffed by 35%. And this was the per hit and the total maximum being increased at the same amount, that 35%.
Yeah, we had said last week that we'd never see anybody play that. Nobody plays the seed. So maybe now with Belch nerfed and fixed and it buffed, maybe we'll see it some more.
We didn't get... So Covet was bug fixed, but Covet, the run around displacing people, was not changed or nerfed in any way. So as long as Covet remains high on the tier list, Bullet Seed's just a little too chaotic. It's hard to use during all that spinning.
Yeah, stuff that is directionally based is always so difficult. You know, like stuff that comes directly out of the front of you, which I believe is how Bullet Seed works. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I feel like it's a little bit hard to say with 100% confidence, because I think in all my time and all my games with Greedent, I saw maybe one use Bullet Seed before the nerf, so it's a little hard to say. But things that come out directionally, like I said, just present such a challenge. Like I'm thinking of for all our Dota players out there, Shadow Fiend has entirely directionally based inputs and is one of the most challenging characters to play that I've ever seen. I could definitely see in a game like this, especially playing on a phone, trying to get that level of precision and just perfect adjustment in seems super, super difficult. So it wouldn't surprise me if even with some Bullet Seed focus, it still feels a little awkward to use. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
I mean, that skill ceiling is up there. Like because when you use it normally, it's like hyper voice on Sylveon. You are locked into your direction and you fire the bullet seeds. But when you're coveting, it spins with you now. And if you could use that to like hunt down people and drift around corners. Ooh, by the way, I would totally watch a gangster like drifting movie where they're shooting guns out the side of each other, but they're actually both drifting instead. Yeah. But still big Tommy guns. Still big Tommy guns with drifting.
Okay, Tommy guns with drifting. That seems totally doable. You know, it's a mixture of two different car chase genres that are like over half a century apart. But it honestly makes perfect sense. I could definitely see the appeal.
And that'd be the name of it, because that's all you need to sell is just the name of that movie.
The name of the movie is Tommy Guns and Drifting.
Yeah, Tommy Gun Drift. It's perfect.
Yeah, you know exactly what you're signing up for in the movie theater, okay, when you go to it. It's like Pacific Rim. Okay, you know you're not here for the most highbrow philosophy. You're here to see some Tommy Guns and some drifting. And just like you're here to see some kaiju in Pacific Rim. You know, I am admittedly struggling to see the connection with Pokemon Unite at this point. I know that Green drifts.
As mentioned, we always stay on topic in this podcast. We
Yeah.
are never just.
No, I think at this point, I was thinking about saying it earlier when we brought up HOTS. I was like, man, we're really speed running just how fast we can mention Heroes of the Storm every single episode, it feels like. There's our mandatory get extremely off track session is happening right now, I guess.
Ninetales had their
Ninetales, Pokemon.
their special attack stat boosted to 955. I'm not familiar with what the previous number was, nor was the data miner who collected this number.
I mean, I'm happy for a Ninetales buff.
Yeah.
I like playing Ninetales when I get the chance, but you don't see her very often, so neat.
During that pumpkin marathon I did, there was quite a bit of conversation in the chat, and basically everyone was saying that muscle band is universal for anybody who does any sort of auto attacks. And for them, at least, they have found that they're moving away from upping any special attack on special attack auto attackers like Ninetales. Instead, just running a muscle band so your attacks that are more consistent before your boosted attack are actually boosted more frequently.
So I'm looking at unite-db.com, which does have some patch notes here and there. And it's got some patch notes for Ninetales. And what I'm seeing is that your special attack is actually lower for the first 9 levels of the game and higher for levels 10 through 15. And keep in mind that as a non-jungler, 15 isn't even guaranteed. It's fairly normal to end a game as like level 13 as a sideline attacker right there. So it could be the case that for the vast majority of the game, you deal slightly less damage than before. If
so
anything,
sad.
it doesn't even seem to be slight. I'm looking at the numbers, and like for example, at level 5, your old special attack was 242, and your new special attack is 125. So for the first few levels of the game, your special attack is significantly lower than what it was, and for the later levels of the game, it's only slightly higher. So they may have called this a buff, but the people writing these patch notes over here, the people writing the specific numbers, they're unsure if it's even a buff at all. And interestingly enough, Alola Ninetales, they changed all of their special attack numbers at every level to be identical to Gardevoir's, except with one more special attack at every level. It's literally just Gardevoir's stat line for special attacks plus 1 at every level. So now Ninetales is much more of it has a much weaker, like early mid-game presence, it seems. Especially this seems to strike, really there's a stark contrast drop off from about levels 4 through 7, 4 through 8. Yeah, about 4 through 8, you have significantly less special attack than before. First few levels, not a big difference at all. And late game, slightly more, is what the Ninetales changes come out to. Very weird change. And I'm not even 100% sure that it's a buff, to be honest.
You know the TikTok where it's like, I'm so happy. I'm so sad. That's me. Because when I saw Ninetales buff, I was like, neat, because I like Ninetales. So maybe we'll get to see some more Ninetales. And then actually seeing the numbers, it's like, oh, oh,
Yeah,
because
I was
Ninetales
surprised by that myself.
isn't getting to 15 most games. Like, so that's just a nerf.
That's
Yeah, and
pretty brutal.
Yeah, the thing is that at 15, you, like I said, even in the late game, at the biggest changes, you have only a slight special attack advantage over what you used to have. And for some of these early game levels, the drop off is rather severe. You did get Blizzard buffs, at least. Blizzard does hit a little bit harder, but overall, for the mid game, the early mid from about levels 4 through 8, most everything except maybe Blizzard is going to hit for less than it used to before.
So hold up. So maybe this was because Blizzard competes at level 6 with Aurora Veil. So could they have been targeting Aurora Veil directly? And could this even be a result of the muscle band usage running Ninetales as more of an auto attacker? So they said, that's fine. We'll lower the special attack now. And we'll use this at the same time to nerf Veil. And Ninetales will just keep running auto attack items. And then to compete with Veil on top of it and move people away from it, will now buff Blizzard.
I don't
Maybe,
know, because
honestly,
it's not like auto attack Ninetales was like super meta and was getting like abused and people were running it everywhere. It would feel weird to nerf it when it wasn't it wasn't incredibly strong. You know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
saying no one was playing it, but it's not like she was like top tier. People are fighting to get to pick Ninetales, even as an auto attacker.
Yeah, if you want to main Ninetales, no one's going to be stopping you. You are pretty free to pick it. It's
Yeah.
never going to get stolen from you like a jungle, especially like a Talonflame would or something like that right now. So I almost question the intentionality of these changes, to be honest. I wonder if there's been some kind of mistake. At minimum, even if this is intentional, I think that the notes we got describing this as a buff do seem rather misleading.
Well, if we picture maybe a playstyle change with Blizzard, since its cooldown was reduced and its damage increased, its damage was increased by near 30%, 29.7. And that was spread across the first hit and that second hit, that secondary hit that hits them into the wall, and you might create your own wall using your own abilities, such as Avalanche. I don't really see that as often as I see like a Dazzling Gleam Veil Ninetales. But that cooldown was also decreased by 18%. So you have a more spammy, higher damage Ninetales that can disengage people. And if it's being run as this auto attacker in the first place, maybe there's a world where now Ninetales needed the sort of secret nerf because she can disengage people regularly.
Well, I have always played Avalanche Blizzard. Like, I was never Dazzling Gleam Aurora Veil because I am a hipster like that, I guess. But I'll report back to you if it feels like a buff or a nerf.
Yeah.
All right.
Please do. Speaking of Gardevoir, who was brought up in that, Psychic, the effect has been boosted and the cooldown has been reduced. I couldn't find any information about the boosting, but I do know that it was a 14% decrease in the cooldown, going from 7 seconds to 6 seconds. Does your newfound sheet mockery have anything about the effect being boosted?
The effect of Blizzard, or what are we?
This was Psychic on Gardevoir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally, completely missed that. Yes, Gardevoir Psychic. Yeah, that was just a part of the buffs. And honestly, I'm really hoping that means that we see more Gardevoir. That's one of my favorite characters. But yes, Gardevoir, just straight up buff. I'm looking through. Every single number seems to be better. Psychic scales more per level. It starts with significantly higher damage. It scales harder off your special attack, and it has a lower cooldown. Basically, everything that could be buffed about Gardevoir Psychic did end up getting buffed. Yes.
And that was up against Moonblast. Did Moonblast need coercion away from, or was Psychic bad? I've played a very limited amount of Gardevoir, and I just love Psyshock in general as a design ability.
I think that Gardevoir as a whole is in kind of a rough spot, at least before these changes. And even though these seem like very significant changes for Psychic, I question if it's enough to sort of catapult Gardevoir into the meta. Um, Moonblast was personally my favorite before the change, but just Gardevoir herself struggles so much being a character that has such a weak first evolution form and is in it for so long with Ralts, and you don't get your ultimate until level 10. Whereas you have other characters that get their ultimate at level 10, like I believe Snorlax and Zeraora, and these characters have strong early games. These characters can make up for that, whereas Gardevoir, you certainly have a nice ult, and if you catch people in it, it can take them out. But Gardevoir, I don't see their weaknesses with being rather immobile, very squishy, and taking a very long time to scale. I think all of those weaknesses will still be very present, even with this psychic buff. And Gardevoir will still be extremely vulnerable to highly aggressive characters like Zeraora, Greninja, Talonflame, just able to get all up in your face. So I'm not sure too much about the Psychic versus Moonblast aspect of it. The buff does seem significant. I'm a little skeptical if it's going to be enough, though, for a character that is, in my opinion, one of the weakest in the entire game, even though I think she's really fun.
But is she currently held back as many MOBA characters find themselves by having such a powerful Unite move? Or is it actually even that powerful?
I do think it can be very powerful, especially as a sort of a boss control tool when you know people are going to funnel towards hallways, towards small areas. But like I said, Zeraora, who in my opinion has the most powerful ultimate in the entire game, doesn't seem to have those same trade-offs. You know, like I look at some of the very powerful ultimates in this game, and it doesn't seem like characters that have them, for the most part, seem to sacrifice too much for them. Gardevoir, even as a fully evolved Gardevoir, certainly feels nice, but it doesn't feel like you're so strong late game in any aspect of your kit, let alone your ult, so as to justify such a weak early game. So I certainly think that late game is her best. She's definitely a late game character, but that almost seems out of how bad the early game is than out of how strong the late game is. If anything, if I were to touch anything, I would probably look at buffing Ralts a bit, maybe even making her evolve earlier, or getting her ultimate at level 9. I think those would be some of the things that I would look at. But it's also okay to not sort of have every kit design be homogenous, and it's okay to have some characters scale very hard. But I think that scaling's got to be worth it. That late game payoff's got to be worth the early game, and I don't think it's there right now. So to answer your question, you know, the late game is certainly there. I don't think that's why she's weak, though. It seems a little too skewed towards weak early game, middling payoff.
Trade-off's not big enough if that was their overall strategy.
Yes. There's not a lot of people playing Gardevoir right now. It's certainly less popular. I have seen some people at the top ranks trying Gardevoir out. And like I said, they buffed a lot about Psychic, so this might change things. But how much specifically remains to be seen.
Pikachu had a bug fix, Thunder. Fix the bugs that cause Thunder to go on cooldown when using Unite move, then Thunder, then auto attack. So you had to enter a sort of code, I guess, to ruin your Pikachu? So Pikachu buff, I guess.
Once you entered the Konami code, all of your stats started to go down or something. But in reality, that was a pretty realistic chain of inputs to do. So it makes sense that would get bug fixed. I'm always amazed that stuff like this even gets found, to be honest, because it seems like it would be so hard to notice. But yeah, that was something that reasonably could come up quite a bit. So it's good that they did bug fix it, but I can't say in my time of playing Pikachu that I think I ever noticed it.
Here's a bug that might make a lot of, the Garchomp sad. They fixed a bug with Rough Skin, which caused it to do immense damage to Zeraora alone when they used Wild Charge.
That's such a... Speaking of oddly specific bugs, a specific talent or a specific ability that only affects a specific other character during that character's specific move. How do you
it's a very
find that?
off-meta move too. No, the funny thing is, we were just talking about obscure bugs. I actually found this one before they fixed it.
No.
I was playing Zeraora and I would wild charge, and I would wild charge on a Garchomp. This was very early on, like I think like in like my first week or two of playing this game. And no joke, to give you guys an idea of how severe this bug was, I would be 100% health. I would wild charge a Garchomp and come out of my wild charge with 10% health. And that is literally just me damaging him with my ability. He hasn't hit me a single time. I come out of it at 10% health. And I just assumed it was like he had to have a Rocky helmet and like crazy everything. And I was like, that seems a little absurd, but I guess I'll take it. But it's so interesting to find out that it turned out to be a bug. And I feel vindicated in the fact that that I wasn't getting outplayed. It was a bug. So that feels good for me. And it's just hilarious, you know, talking about who would ever find this, because I found it.
Damn. Thus goes the legend of the level 30 Rocky Helm, which never actually existed. I love the idea. Anything with thorns. Warcraft 3, Dota, any character that does return damage. I just think that's the coolest thing ever. Paladin from Diablo 2. Not so great. Not so great in this game, but just a fantasy I enjoy.
Yeah, I always love those characters whose whole thing is just running right up on the enemy and just standing on top of them. Whether that be something like an aggressive Garchomp or Machamp, you know, right up in the face, just bah, 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 punching them right in the jaw. Or, you know, something something more built around just standing on top of the enemy team and their backline being super, super tanky and just being a menace. Like when we saw Giga Drain Pedal Dance Venusaur just completely overtake the meta. That was definitely to too high of an extent. But there's something that's just fun at a very primal level about just being a tanky behemoth, just walking up to the enemy team and forcing them to do something about it. You know, like just... I love my ranged auto attackers. I love my kiting and chipping away at people from a distance, but sometimes you just want to be a big brawny lump sitting on top of the enemy team, making yourself a problem, you know, something they have to worry about. So Rocky Helmet plays into that perfectly, and I would have loved to see it used more.
Maybe someday. There were several use items upgraded. This would be your... I always forget the difference between the two. The held items? Yes. No, battle items. Battle items. 3 battle items have been changed. The potion has been buffed. More HP on a potion use.
I'm still, if I see a potion in my lobby, I'm still going to judge really harshly. I'm going to see it and I'm going to be like, brand new player.
Okay, so I'm looking, and before, potion just healed for 15% of your max HP. Now, a potion will heal for 20% of your max HP, plus a flat value of 160, which is not a lot. If I go ahead and I look, let me see right here, just find out what kind of stats in terms of health bars we have. So at level 1, for example, an Absol has 3,000 health. So 160 out of 3,000, that's an extra roughly 5%, just over 5% of Absol's health bar. So for example, a level 1 Absol will go from healing for 15% of his health bar to about 25% of his health bar with potion. And the effect of that buff is going to be a little bit less as the game goes on, because 160 health will be a proportionally smaller and smaller amount of your total health pool. But that is a significant change. 20% of your total health bar plus an extra little side bit. Like Highberry said, I don't think it's enough to justify taking potion. I still will probably think if I see you rocking the potion that you just have not played that loadout before and you didn't notice that you needed to take it off. A little bit of a minor change right here, but 20% max HP plus a slight boost isn't insignificant. I think that this bridges the gap a little bit between potion and the other items.
What about X speed? It had its movement speed increased even more by the quote here.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the Unite DB that I referred to earlier, and it just says movement speed increased, details unknown. So,
Okay.
movement speed is one of those things that's really hard to sort of reverse engineer as a community, because you can't just plug in your damage formulas and say, okay, if the damage changes this much, then we should, that means that the ratio has changed this much or whatever. Those things are very easy to reverse engineer through all the numbers. Movement speed, it's just seeing how fast you get somewhere over a relatively small amount of time. And that's something that is a lot harder to track with precision. So if they don't give us the details, I don't think we'll know for sure exactly how much of a change it was.
Full heal had a bug where it wouldn't cleanse an effect, and it seems that effect was poison.
Yes, it says fixed a bug where full heal was not removing poison properly. And so lately I've been finding out a lot about poison, and that it removes a lot of stuff. So a lot of us HOTS players, I think we looked at full heal and we assumed that it was like Heroes of the Storm's Unstoppable, where you just couldn't be affected by slows and stuns and roots and that kind of thing. But full heal in this game, to my understanding, it's supposed to remove just almost all debuffs, it seems. I was watching a streamer named Kid Tans, and they were talking about why they liked full heal. And I believe they even said that full heal removes Drain Kiss from Sylveon, just to give you an example, as one debuff that it would get rid of. I'm 90% sure that was the case. Full heal, you can also use it to rid yourself of the slow from getting inside enemy flux zones. So that makes it a lot easier to steal those enemy berries, to dive for kills, takedowns. Sorry, nobody dies in Pokemon. And so full heal does a lot, and the fact that they're buffing it even more, I think that a lot of players should be exploring full heal. I don't think that you should be going eject button 100% of the time. Full heal gets rid of a lot of stuff and is at a much shorter cooldown than eject button as well. So it's already, in my opinion, probably the second strongest item in the game, and on many characters the number one strongest item, and into many characters the number one strongest item. And it just got even better. So that's a really good thing.
I was guilty of doing what Mockery said, of thinking of it as a unstoppable cleanse, like Heroes of the Storm, and not thinking of this as a Pokemon game, because in the Pokemon games, like the main series games, full heal removes all status effects, and you can use it for poison, burn, freeze. Like, should have been thinking more as a Pokemon player and less as a mobile player in my brain.
Mm-hmm. So now, if you want to deny Wigglytuff's thing, now it should even be effective into Venusaur poison. Getting rid of that Sludge Bomb is really going to, hopefully, I assume that means that if you get rid of Venusaur Sludge Bomb, you also get rid of the matching component of the reduced spell armor. But I don't know exactly if it works that way or not. But there are a lot of characters that full heal is very effective into. And I almost wonder if we ever see a draft phase to this game, which I'm not 100% sure that we ever will. Full heal could become super, super relevant. If you had the option to only add full heal when you could see what the enemy comp was, it wouldn't surprise me if the item started to get nerfed at that point. But for right now, even go out and try it. It's quite good.
That's very, particularly the diving for berries is a really cool use of game knowledge over your opponents. But I agree, if you could pick items, setting up your build, that kind of timer you have where you get that sort of stuff done if you need to, extended through the load screen, that would be awesome. That'd be a really interesting way. And yes, it would inform builds in a sense. If you could see your enemy's items, then I don't know if we'd want to go down that road. It'd be interesting, right? Because you get in that classic Pokemon scenario when you're playing on, you're playing cable linked with your friend, and you say, well, here's my psychic. You're running psychic. And then you just end up in the trading out Pokemon battle, swapping them out all the time. So someone gets a numbers advantage, but you see a Gengar over there and you're like, oh, I'm going full heal. Can they see your full heal then? And then say, oh, well, I'm going to do a different build now. I'm not going to go hacks.
I think that if we were able to see each other's item adjustments in real time, the game would very quickly devolve into everybody holds their items until the very last second and then
fair.
swaps them over.
Yeah.
And it would be this sort of weird APM battle of like, I'm switching, so I'm switching, so I'm switching, so I'm switching back and forth. So I kind of hope that that's not the case. But who knows what'll happen.
I get you.
I don't think Unite players are ready for that because most of my lobbies, getting my teammates to just show or pick what Pokemon they're going to play in the first place and putting together a team comp that made any sort of sense just between the 5 of us is a difficulty. Like, I have it so much where you have one person who's showing like Blastoise and then 5 seconds before it ends, they're like, you know what? I'm going to switch to Pikachu. And it's like, and then we're scrambling to see who's going to fill tank. And it's like, oh no.
I had a game last night on my stream where I get in the lobby, I hover jungle first on my team. I am the first person to pick a jungler, first person to mark I'm going to the central area. And then the entire rest of my team also gives their intention to enter the central area. And then after the stream, multiple of them come in to tell me how I had stolen their jungle in my Twitch chat. It was wonderful, to say the least. So,
after last week's show, I've started incorporating the okay more when I see things like that. When I see like 3 people showing jungle or the person who is Blastoise and then switches off, I'm just like, okay.
Lately, I've enjoyed some psychological warfare in trying to secure jungle. And this is something that we've been doing in our stacks here when we've got like, 2 people, 3 people together in a party. What we will do when one of us wants jungle is that both of us will hover jungle and make it look like we're fighting over jungle. And then when that happens, I feel that people are less inclined to be the third guy fighting for jungle. So they're like, oh, those 2 guys are fighting over jungle. I'm not going to hop in and add to the confusion and be the third guy fighting over jungle. And so then they just hover a different role. And then, of course, we were never really fighting at all. It was always, I'm going to hover something, you hover something, we both say we're going jungle, and then I'm going to swap out. And that strategy has been extremely effective in securing jungle for us so far. So do with that information what you will.
Damn, that's like a heist movie. That's great.
Psychological warfare against your own teammates.
Yeah, I'm trying to secure your roles, the things we have to do to make it through those 40 seconds of everyone just sitting there. I'll head to the central area. Okay. You do whatever you can to secure an edge.
I'm sitting on the sidelines being like, let's give it our all. Just calm down, guys. It's going to be okay.
It's always so hilarious to me. You just get team wiped and everybody on your team is knocked out and you just drop the gather here or like the keep the pressure on right when you all get team
Yeah,
wiped.
the toxic keep the pressure on is the good one.
Those to me are always fantastic. Gamers will always find a way to communicate even when you don't have the easiest ways to do it.
Gamers will find a way to communicate toxicity, even if there is no way to.
Yes.
Remember, like Hearthstone with like the well met or whatever. Oh my.
Yeah.
So Hearthstone, when it first came out, I remember I played Hearthstone as soon as the open beta hit. I was real big on Hearthstone for about its first 2 years, and when it started, we had this emote called Sorry, which swiftly got removed from the game. Because it would be like, oh, I just top decked this thing that destroys you, sorry. Or like, oh, haha, I've been holding this card where secretly you lose the entire time. Sorry. And Heroes of the Storm actually had those same emotes for a long time, also in that as well from Hearthstone. And those got swiftly removed. All of them got removed from Heroes of the Storm. Because the potential for toxicity was just off the charts. Leave it to gamers to ruin something that should be nice, wholesome interaction between players, but they just gotta use it to make fun of each other. It's tragic.
All part of the strategy.
Yeah, you're mentally playing the game. You're emotionally unseating the enemy team so that you can get a 1% advantage.
Hey, I'm just jealous. Outside of the card game sort of scenario, I'm just jealous of your spare APM. Because I'm typing as hard as I can. I don't have time to type that book to work the emojis that hard. I'm still just trying to make my way across the map with my spare clicks. We got a teaser image. By the way, before we skip it, congratulations to Crystal on his first skin. It's fabulous. It's a giant temple on his back. It was not a food item.
It's so good. It's so good. I mean, it's not a lasagna or a cake or any of those, but a giant temple that's awesome.
My favorite thing about the Crustle skin with the temple on his back is that it doesn't replace the boulder on Crustle's back. It's just it's just on top of him. It's entirely on top of Crustle. They overlaid this temple, which to me makes sense because it's hollowware. So it's not actually changing anything that's on you. It's a hologram projected onto you. So I get it, that thematically would mean that you can't change too much about it and it can only be stuff thrown on top. But it just looks goofy. Regardless, it's a good skin. And I've been seriously considering using my end of Battle Pass fashion tickets, the paid skin ones, exactly on that one.
You actually played Crustle too, so you would, you could rock it.
I played a lot of Crustle and I really liked it, except for this most recent patch where, in my opinion, Crustle was just a bad Greedent. Like, it felt like, why would I play Crustle when Greedent is faster and more immune to CC and does more damage? He just felt like Greedent, or he felt like Crustle 2.0. So now that he's nerfed again, yeah, I might make my triumphant return.
Well, the teaser image was one of flying arrows, which supplied the words knock knock, spelled with just an N, okay. Who is that flying true like an arrow in the Pokemon Unite arena? And since then, spoilers, it has been accidentally released on Facebook as to what this Pokemon's going to be and what date it's going to come out. But everyone basically guessed from the second they saw the arrows.
I was so upset by the number of people who were like, you spelled knock wrong. Like, actually was like, I was like,
that's something you do to
please.
An arrow, right? Like,
right. When you
in your bow?
Knocking an arrow is when you fit the arrow to the string of the bow. That's gotcha. Knocking an arrow, and it is spelled with an N like that. It's a real word.
Well, knock is always spelled with an N.
Well, K-N. There's no K. Listen here, buddy. Listen here. It's the correct spelling for what it is, but a lot of people on Twitter were telling them that they misspelled knock, and I wanted to scream.
There's this weird facet to internet culture now where it's hard to tell whether people are like just riffing on something or like willfully misunderstanding. You can never tell when people that are like, actually you spelled knock wrong. It's like, oh, is this person just having a simple misunderstanding? Are they being judgmental? Is this a joke? It feels like everything in internet communication could be somewhere within like 4 different levels of irony to taking themselves seriously, somewhere within that gradient. And it's just impossible to understand that sometimes. At least for me, I feel like the internet communication is its own beast nowadays.
No, I feel you. The first thing they showcased in that subscription Twitter advertisement was, you can change your to be correct before people know you messed up. And I knew.
Nice.
I knew. But I was not aware of who this Pokemon could be. I'm not familiar with them. So my first reaction was, no more arrows. If you're a MOBA player, you've seen so many bows and arrows. I'm sick of bows and arrows. I don't want another bow user. But it's actually rather unique. And in fact, this could be only one Pokemon to those that were familiar with them, and I'm gonna do my best. Decidui, like deciduous, right? Like
exactly.
Plants, okay? Decidui.
Because Decidui has grass themes to it. It's very nature focused.
And it's an adorable owl little beast.
Yep, and it flings arrows. With like its wing? I don't know.
They like shoot, they like flap out of its wings.
Okay, yeah. So there's nothing to knock then. If it just throws its own feathers, and that's how that's hardly an archer. That's a dart player.
Well, let's see here, because according to the Facebook Okay, here we go. So in the leak we have, it definitely is you. I have no idea how this works in the lower forms for it, but at its maximum form, it has these dangly bits that are like rubber bands, and it can grab them with its wing and create a sort of bow and arrow situation in there.
And this entire bow and arrow is made from its own flesh.
Yes. How it does it when it's Rowlet, oh, that's cute. Dart tricks, I get it. Decidueye is probably the biggest stretch of them all, but okay, I'm on. How it does it at the other levels, I have no idea. But it definitely becomes a little more Robin Hood with the cowl and the owl sort of look, making this cape down its back, and definitely knocks arrows.
To me, this isn't any more or less weird than Sylveon's whole the bow ribbons can be are tentacles and can be moved and manipulated. So this isn't any weirder than that to me. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure.
That's fair. That's very fair.
You have like a cute bow made out of skin that you can slap people with. Like, this is fine.
Its ultimate ability will be Knock Knock, and the release date for it, according to this Facebook accidental post, is the 19th of November, so a Friday, which caused some people to, argue against its validity. However, a full video was attached to it with the usual sort of turn-in animations and, running around in circles. It seems to have several abilities where it unleashes extra attacks into the area around it.
I still the video looks so legit only because what are they doing with these? All of them have been like this. There's no voiceover or tooltips or anything, so you don't really know what they're showcasing. Like, you're just watching a Pokemon spin in circles. You get to see the abilities a couple times, which is cool, I guess. But I just feel like these are some of the weakest character reveal videos of any video game I have ever played. And this is right on par with all the other ones. So I'm like, yeah, it looks legit because it looks useless. Thank you.
They're basically animation showcases, are really what they are. Oh, that's cool though. Okay, hold on. So as I'm watching it, Decidueye's turn-in animation to deposit points is that they knock an arrow and shoot a flying by ball of points so that it falls into the goal zone. Very Robin Hood-esque. That is super cool. And I think that's all they're supposed to be, it's just hype. It's like, hey, look at these cool animations. You'll figure out what the abilities do in a little bit. Just look at all this cool shiny stuff. And for that, I feel it serves its purpose.
That's true. There is have we had a knockout in any of these? Like, they never showcase any sort of health bar, which I think is extremely smart because the numbers could change and you don't want your old trailer or it being misleading or anything like that.
You asked if we had a knockout?
Yeah. It was. Is there?
There were a lot of them. They were shooting a lot of arrows.
Oh.
Sorry. No, but in this one he does KO Snorlax like twice, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
and I will say, what's up?
Oh, you go ahead.
The ultimate from Decidueye, I just love watching it. It's this gigantic rectangular line in front of you just shooting out arrows en masse. And I love these kinds of abilities because they present some of the most opportunity for onomatopoeia. Whenever you're just in a game and you're just as you're shooting them down, I always tell my stream, I say, if you yell out a sound effect that matches what your character is doing, then it increases the damage of the ability by 50%. So, this is how I choose to interpret MOBAs, and I look at that and I see prime onomatopoeia material. I will be making Gatling gun noises with my mouth as I pop ult on his character. And that alone is worth the purchase for me. Kind of like all the people. I think it was like Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy, I believe it was, where he would keep going like pew 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 while they were filming, and they had to like redo certain shots because of it, because Chris Pratt as Quinn is running around in these Marvel movies, pew 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 pew.
There was a big thing about that with Laura Dern in Star Wars in The Last Jedi. She would make pew noises every time she used her blaster. You can actually they gave up on trying to make her stop, and like if you just watch, she's going pew every time she shoots it. It's pretty great.
It's just irresistible.
I mean, who wouldn't? The other one was Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequels. He would make lightsaber noises.
Oh yeah. What is his name? Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, he still does it. He was on, I think, like Conan O'Brien, and they brought out a lightsaber. And number one, he still got the moves. And then, yeah, he was doing the whole time. So you're not alone, Mockery. You're not alone.
Dude, speaking of got the moves, have you ever seen Ray Park, the guy who was Darth
Maul?
Oh yeah, no, you guys want to see something crazy? Just Google like Ray Park lightsaber, and he has all these demonstrations of him doing all the cool stuff he learned for Darth Maul. He's super good at it. Probably the best I've seen of the official acting cast of Star Wars. And again, we continue to be incredibly relevant to Pokemon Unite.
Well, that's okay, because we've covered the news, and it's time to end the show. Thank you all for joining us.
No questions?
We'll get to some questions next week. We will have a bit of a slower week too, as we're going to get to a lot of emails next week. As well, our decidui will not be out yet when we record that episode, if this leak is to be believed. So we'll have a big old email show next week for you all. And thank you for joining us. You can find out more about the show over at kyleferguson.com, 2 S's in Ferguson, just because I'm moving on ahead. Sorry, Mockery. You'll get me on the other side. There you can find the RSS feed for the show. You can find information about the show, like the show notes. If you want to find the particular links we were using, such as where we got those data mines, such as that Unite DB that we were using for the more detailed information today, you can find all that show notes part of the post over at kyleferguson.com. But let's shoot it on over to Mockery. Where can you be found on the internet?
Hello. I am Mockery. I can be found at Mockery TV, MOCHRIE TV, on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Those are my big three. What about you, Kai?
Hello, thank you. I am Kai Berries. That's my dog, KIYE Berries. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all the places on the internet. The branding is there. I hope to see you guys online.
Excellent. I can be found at twitch.tv/Kyle Ferguson.
I was wondering something, Kyle.
Yeah?
How many S's are in Ferguson again? Remind me.
There are 2 S's in Ferguson when you spell it Ferguson. The way I like
thank you, son of Fergus.
Yes.
I appreciate you.
Twitch.tv/Kyle Ferguson is where you can find me playing those Pokemon Unite games, like that pumpkin event we ran randomly over the weekend. If you want to find out about that sort of stuff, join the Discord at Aeos Clubhouse. You can also follow us on Twitter as well for information about when the show gets posted and when it goes live. But that'll be it for this episode, this packed episode. We'll see you next week with that big mailbag. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, pals.
See you later.